Good evening, everyone. I'm just finishing Sunday, the 9th of February, day 40 of my journey to alignment. It's now in the rearview mirror. So here's my to-do list I worked on through today, Sunday, and then there's a few other things I had to get done as well. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the highlighted yellow important things that I had to do. About 7 of the residents formed a choir at Avalon Care Center, who had a program I was preparing for, and it went off wonderfully today. Before we knew it, our time with these sweet people was over, and it was time to come home. And so I have to say that I also had another meeting at 1 o'clock that went from 1 till 2, but then I finally came home, and as I walked through the door, Kathleen had already fixed a fantastic fish dinner for me. It was waiting right there, so all I had to do is sit down and partake of her meal. It was great. After we ate our lunch, I sat down with Kathleen on our double recliner, and we both fell asleep. We must have been really, well, it's because I had to get up at 5:45 because I had an early meeting that morning, and that led into the special program at Avalon Care Center and so forth. But anyhow, about 4:30 p.m., our son popped in on us, needing us to help him with the program. He needed to use Kathleen's laptop as well, and so I got up and got him the laptop, and then I offered him the rest of our lunch that was the leftover. I said, you can certainly have what we had today. It was fantastic. And he sure took me on it that fast. Anyway, after Zed left, I went upstairs to do a little reading, and Kathleen practiced her heart. I then came downstairs, and we both felt like watching a video by Jodie Foster, once again, on Happy on Purpose. Happy on Purpose, where she coached 5 individuals, one at a time, over about an hour period of time. It was interesting. Each one of us are interesting people, and so we're very different from each other. Anyway, it was good, and it was interesting to talk about it with Kathleen. It was then time to go to bed. I did a quick overview of what we just went through, but it was time to go to bed, and so we were ready to do our end of the day success routine, but then a knock at the door came, and our new Airbnb guest was showing up, and so Kathleen showed her up to the room, and we then did our end of the day routine and then went to bed. As I mentioned last night, my power statement for today said, I'll relax today and just enjoy the program I prepared for the folks at Avalon Care Center. And then I'll come home and enjoy a restful day with Kathleen. And that's exactly what happened. After my nap, I was able to go upstairs to finish up a few small items that I had on my list of to-dos, these ones that weren't in yellow, in that little crack of time as she practiced her heart. So, I'm going to take it. You've got them all checked off. Wadded. Bam! Done. Done. It's now time to answer Croy's Get Honest with Yourself questions. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I am really enjoying reading The Plus Factor. And so I'm going to take a minute or two to read a few thoughts I wrote down before I get into answering the questions from a chapter that I read a couple days ago. And it was during the time that Kathleen was practicing her heart, so I had some real quiet time. So far I've mentioned at least 3 of the methods Mr. Peel says will activate the plus factor in us. Dream creative dreams, number 1. Number 2, set high worthwhile goals. Number 3, take the first decision step towards your goal, which I say is to get honest with yourself. And 4, I want to add, take another step and another step and another step until you realized your goal, until you've achieved your ambition, until you've accomplished your mission. It's called persist and persevere. Persistence, no matter how long it takes. I could go on and on talking about what is this chapter covered, but suffice it to say that the stories Mr. Peel used to illustrate this point of persistence and persevering were fantastic. So I won't repeat them because I want you to get that book and read it for yourself and write notes in the margin and take notes on a pad and talk about it. But I do have one of my own stories that I want to share with you. It relates to that last chapter that I talked about regarding the principle of success that says, do it. Just do it. I'm sure all of you have seen the movie starring Clint Eastwood called Escape from Alcatraz. After being in prison for quite a while, Clint Eastwood's character started to plan his escape. He hated prison. He wanted to get out. He even recruited 3 other inmates who felt the same way, and he thought that he could trust them. All 4 of them used spoons and little forks, whatever, to carve out a hole in their cell walls. They would put the dirt in their pockets, and they'd go out onto the prison yard and shake it and through the holes and come down their overall pants right there onto the dirt floor that they were out there on the prison yard. They even made paper mache boxes and painted them There's the outside here with a little indented square in there, and they painted them to look like vent holes, the wall and the vent holes. And then they would push it in, and then they'd put a roll of toilet paper in front of it to make it invisible in it, whereas not unnoticeable. They were so realistic looking that that's exactly what it looked like. You couldn't really tell. They also made paper mache heads, which they painted with flesh color and little cheekbones and eyes closed with little eyelashes and so forth. And then they glue hair on, and then glued little hairs for eyebrows. They got all the hair from their cutting places where they got haircuts. They planned their escape right down to the second, and then it came time to make the break. They had to do it that night. Well, Clint and two of the inmates did it. They did what they had to do. They did what they decided to do. But the third guy was paralyzed by fear. You remember the show? He laid in his bed with tears running down his cheeks as he imagined his friends going through the rafters of the ceiling and up the hole out onto the roof of the prison and out and down the side and out of the prison yard. But somehow he finally found the courage to follow the plan and go through the hole in his wall and go through the ceiling rafters and over the piping and up to the place that was a rendezvous where everybody was going to meet to help each other out into the ceiling. And they had already gone. In fact, they'd already gone and were out of the prison and on the way to the water to swim. So he couldn't do it. There were three who had gone ahead, and this poor guy was there. He lost the opportunity to escape. He lost his opportunity to get free because he allowed fear to keep him from doing it. So he was still in prison in his mind. His fear to act now took away his dream, took away his opportunity. The bottom line in this story is that fear, doubt, negative thinking, all of these thoughts block the flow of the plus factor, which is what you need and what I need if we're ever going to accomplish big things in our lives. I know escaping from prison isn't the best example of going and doing great things, that it had all of the elements that I wanted to talk about, the elements of what it takes to succeed: a creative dream, a well thought out plan or goal, and the belief and faith that it is possible, so that you can activate that power of the plus factor to just do it. And he had the power, his thoughts were there, but he just didn't take that step of doing it. He let fear overcome him. Like the fearful inmate, you are 100% control of your thoughts. He had the ability, he was 100% in control, but he chose to let his negative fears control his thoughts. All he had to do was to simply replace his thoughts of fear to thoughts of faith and courage, and do the simple thing to replace it. To replace that thought of fear with, I can do this. I'm going to do this. I will do this. I'm doing this now. Boom! And then do it. Let's go to Croy's end of the day success questions now. What didn't go well today, or what could you have done better, Marty? Well, did you wake up early and start in the morning? I did. I had to split it a little bit. I had to get up at that 5:45 morning time, and so I did the cold water on my face, I made the bed, I showered and shaved and got ready, went to my meeting, and later on the day, I finished the other things. So I did do that. Did you start your morning with power? Yes, I did. I started strong, I stayed strong, and I'm finishing strong right now. Were you productive throughout your day? Yes. Did you get the most important things done? I sure did. Did you move your goals forward? Well, it depends on which ones. The goal of social, the goal of personal progress in helping people, absolutely. My business goals, not so much. Those have been pushed off to the next day tomorrow, but that's okay. Did you show up as the person you wanted to be today? I did. What about your personal time with Kathleen? Like I said, we watched the video, we sat and we slept and took a nap together, cuddled on that double-wide recliner, so absolutely I did. What was the one thing out of all the things you did today, Marty, that you know you can improve on? In other words, was there any failure you had today that you can turn into a success tool? Don't you like that? To think of failures that way is to think of things you did wrong or whatever, or you flubbed or whatever. You say, hey, let's step back, let's evaluate it, be kind to yourself, look at it, say, how can I turn that into a success tool? What can I do to have it become and turn it into lemonade? I suppose the one thing I could have done today and improved on is I could have sacrificed my hour nap and squeezed in a few more things, not so important, but just the darn to-do list things. If I had done that, I would have been productive, more productive, of course. However, We've all heard about the principle, sharpen our saw, where we can't be all about work with no renewal and no fun or recreation. We have to get into our daily lives recreation and fun and renewal, along with some of the other renewing naps once in a while for sure. And so the tool of success I want to affirm for me today is to be sure to take the time to sharpen my saw. Remember to always give time to sharpen my saw. The next question is, what was my biggest success today? I feel good about saying that my biggest success today was getting the program that I prepared for today pulled off with very little hitches. Was it perfect? Nope. Whenever there's human involved, especially me, things can go wrong and do go wrong. Rarely is it perfect. But it certainly was enjoyable and uplifting to everyone in attendance. And that was my goal, and that took place today. Next, what movies did you watch in your mind today, Marty? Did you make time for them? Well, like I said, I had to get up at 5:45 this morning, and so in doing that split of my win the day routine in half, it still was great. I was able to accomplish some good things. So I rushed off my important meeting and came back, and as I was going through the morning routine, I was thinking of my why, but very quickly, because that's a habit that kicks in the morning. Very quickly, I started seeing my little 5 or 6 residents in their wheelchairs coming up and singing a song as a little choir. And I was putting the room together after my early meeting and preparing. I could see that program all unfold onto the stage of my mind. I saw the Avalon residents' faces just light up, and the other guests that were there, smiling faces from ear to ear as they watched and listened. It was a great program, and people enjoyed it. And I imagined that on the stage of my mind all through the morning before it took place. It's great. The next question is, what's the one thing you did that made you feel successful? The one thing I did, I think, that made me feel successful today is I accomplished something in my mind that was really worthwhile. And that was I planned my work and I worked my plan. For weeks now I'd prepared and gone through this, so it was very much so in my mind. I planned it out. I put forth my best effort. I washed my hands on little hiccups and left them behind me because it was going to be what it's going to be. All those few hiccups didn't matter. What mattered to me was the end result. And that was a fun, enjoyable program that I saw on the faces of the guests and of those residents. They loved it. Next is, what rate would you give your day today? Well, I gave it an 8, and that's because I didn't focus on getting work stuff done, and so I pushed several of my to-do items over onto Monday's list, and that's okay. If it was perfect, I'd be able to get everything done, all things done, and have zero to worry about, but that's rare, and that doesn't happen that often. The next question is, if this was the only thing you get done tomorrow, but you'd still feel like a success, what would that one thing be? Isn't that a great question? I'm certainly loving that question at the end of each day. It really makes me stop and think, to focus on the most important thing and get that done. So once you have the answer, I'm supposed to put that into a power statement for tomorrow. So here's what I did. Here's my power statement for tomorrow, which is Monday. I'll review my long master outline of my coaching package. I want to review it again. And we'll prioritize the pieces I want to bring through the portal of my mind this week and get after them one by one, piece through the portal of my mind into the world of the physical, just like I did that podcast. And I just want to make sure I just do it like I did all of last week. It's always good to step back, look at where you came from, where you are right now, all the things that were done, where I'm now, and where I want to go, where I want to be a week from today as the day of the work world type thing hits in and the heat of that journey starts to take over. I want to have it clear in my mind what I'm going to get done this week. I want to make sure I am balanced and doing what I want and need to do right now. In other words, I'm going to think of that good, better, best, try to get the best ones done and work on the other ones in the cracks. Okay, let's end the day strong here. Here's what I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful for my friends that I've made at Avalon Care Center. What a great experience I have every weekend. I'm grateful to have one day that I can focus on other things than just business and me things. I'm grateful to have a dream, and in fact several dreams that I want to be a part of my visual movie, my vision for my life going forward. That's what goals are, is to see them included in the vision of your daily experience as though you were already there. I love having dreams and what it does for me and how it pushes me and helps me feel alive and successful. Those are some great blessings, and I'm truly grateful for each one of them. Today was a needed break, however, and I took the time to sharpen my saw. And now it's in the history books. And so until tomorrow, I want to wish all of you the continued success and hope you have a great night sleeping. I'm looking forward to my Z's, as it were, and I hope to see you tomorrow night. Good night.